record. I press record. Okay. So speaking of trilogies from last episode, Ali said Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is the best trilogy. You know what? I actually thought about that. I was on the way to work. You know when you have those silent drives and you're just like,
Yep.
I was having one of those moments. And I'm like, you know what? He does have a point. As much as I don't like the movies, he has a point.
There's no, you know how we talk about these trilogies? Like, one of the ones that I thought about was Jurassic Park. It was actually the first movie I watched in the cinemas as a kid. I was like 4 years old, terrified of these fucking dinosaurs that wanted to eat me. But then we talked about with you off air, and we're like, yeah, 1 and 3 is good, but the second one dips a little. With Lord of the Rings, I don't think they dip at all. Like, the first one's your introductory, and it's pretty good. Like, you introduce to all the characters. The second one's full action, and they stop it halfway through the action. And the third one just continues off with the action. Like, I don't think there's a dip in the trilogy.
No, not for Lord of the Rings. They were very like I said, it's not a movie for me. Okay, that's just what it is. But I have to appreciate
It's for nerds.
what they did with it. 1, 2, and 3, the cinematography, the acting, and everything. It's good. It's just not a story that I'm just interested in.
Is it because it's fantasy?
No, not because it's just fantasy. I just didn't enjoy it at the time. I watch Game of Thrones. I watch
Game of Thrones
what's another fantasy you can throw at me? Even Marvel, when it comes to fantasy stuff like that, when it comes to
Harry
space
Potter's
and shit,
pretty fantasy.
it just wasn't for me. Maybe I need to rewatch it. I've only watched it once, and I think
'Cause
my
actually-
first experience fucked me. It really did. Because I watched it. Do you remember Parramatta Village cinemas back in the days?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it in that, and it was first row. And I didn't know this movie went for 4.5 hours.
That's the thing. What I was gonna say to you, like, we've done the trilogy a bunch of times with my cousins. I did it with my wife. Dude, you need to set aside a whole weekend for it. They're long.
Yeah, a month. Like literally a month.
Yeah.
And then they bring out the director's edition cut, which is like another extra 17 hours.
Yep.
And then, it's just like, when do I breathe?
But if you really got to watch that one to see that dwarf get fucked by Legolas, like, Legolas.
Nah, when Gandalf was Gandalf?
Gandalf the Grey.
Gandalf the
You
White.
shall not pass.
You shall not pass.
So, Ali,
That's what condoms do every time.
you're wrong. But yeah, it is what it is. I don't think there's a best trilogy.
No, I made up my mind. I know I don't think I gave a
Harry
choice
Potter,
last week. No,
Thanks,
no.
bro.
Godfather, without a doubt. Number 3 just got over the line. Because it was the story was crap. It was like you can tell that they just were like, this is gonna make money regardless of how this turns out.
Yeah.
But I think
Number 3 is horrible.
number
man.
1 and 2 do enough, and the third one was just like, this is trilogy. So that's my choice there.
All right. Godfather. You said Back to the Future, I mean, didn't you?
No. I said
I
Jurassic
did.
Park.
Oh, you said Back.
But that is a good
Inan
film.
said Back to the
But
Future.
I have a lot of nostalgia with that film.
Number 3 sucks. Number 3 absolutely.
Nah, I like Cowboy because he named himself Clint Eastwood.
What kind of name is Clint Eastwood?
M. You said something about fatherhood while we're off air.
Yeah, look, Inan's already a father. You're
Yeah, get on my level.
almost a father, and
You're
I've got it
rookies,
on the way.
Amateurs.
I wanted to talk to you guys about the whole process of it. Look, I'm someone who puts in a lot of research when it comes to like buying things, and I think we've talked about this. Like, if I have to buy something, I'm looking it up, YouTube videos. I want to see all the features, blah blah. I did not do as much research as I should have. My wife's been in charge of doing the research and finding out reviews and what she likes. The first time I walked into a baby store, right? We looked at, the cots and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I can handle this. We choose one that we like, the color that we want, whatever shape. We got in the pram section, dude. And for the first time in my life, I felt like, man, I'm so overwhelmed. Like, the first pram we saw, they were like sticking a car seat into it. And we were like, oh, this is really cool. And then you walk past these prams that are gold and black and they look all fancy and they're $4.5 grand.
Yeah.
And you're like, what does this do that the $2.5 grand one doesn't do? And then you realize that it's not as practical.
Yeah, it's just a show.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like the Mercedes of things, but it comes with no features. So
Instant pull.
a question
I saw
that
that and I was just like, I want that one.
because it has wings on the wheels,
Didn't care what it looked like. I was like, that's how I want my kid to be.
gold wings. But I wanted to ask you, like, going through the whole process of it, was there a lot that you had to learn? Was there any time that you were overwhelmed? What piece of furniture or like child use thingy did you find the most difficult to choose?
When it came to this type of stuff, the irony is I trust my friends at Amazon, Jeff Bezos. Nah, it's weird because I'm I've always been used to doing this stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then entering a world that you know nothing about, which is different. And it's sort of hard to find out what's good for you. Does that make sense? Because certain items involves just a woman in general. Do you know what I mean? Like you're trying to make the best decision for your partner to
bro.
go, this is best for you. Yeah. So for me, that was a bit more tricky for me. Like, especially when it came to, like, say, you know, we're talking, like, let's talk full on, like, whether it's your breast pump or whether it's the sterilizer thingy and all that type of stuff. You're there going, okay, like, what do I look for? And then what is my partner looking for at the same time? And that sort of makes it hard for you to actually decide. Pram-wise, I was fine. For some reason, I think with me, it was just more, is it practical to get in and out of a car? How does it fold? And all that type of stuff? And storage. Storage was massive for me.
Oh, definitely. Look, the practicality of folding is one thing, but then you want to try and oh, we want one where the car seat clicks in, blah, blah. And then you're like, yeah, but the car seat only goes for 12 months. And then you got to upgrade the car seat. Whereas you can get a car seat that goes 0 to 8 years. You don't have to worry about it, whether it lasts that long.
We did that.
But like, you're trying to weigh up like, oh, it's going to be easy to just click them out of the car seat, put them straight into a pram, or like, you know, you can use that car seat as a bassinet almost. And then to say, yeah, but we're paying $600 for a car seat that's only going to last us a year when we can pay $550 for a car seat that lasts 8 years.
the positives and the negatives?
Yeah, please, because you've obviously had the experience.
The practicality of the bassinet going in from the pram into the car is the fact that you leave the kid alone. So when it's sleeping, it doesn't wake up. That's the best part. You can bring them upstairs and leave them, and you got like that 10-minute leeway until the kid realizes that it's not in the car anymore, and it wakes up every time. Well, that's my kid anyways. And secondly, the other one is
You are blocking your face.
what was I getting at?
The practicality, the car seat.
What's the cons?
The cons is, bro, they obviously they get heavy, and they're so heavy to carry. So eventually, it's like trying to lug around a 15 to 20 kilo massive object, and you're trying to take. Well, me, because I live in a unit, so I'm going down the stairs, and like by the time I get down there, I've done a full body workout. You know what I mean? To the garage, open the garage, take the car, and then put him back in there. And now he's getting to the point where he's getting a little too big for it. So now he's just getting annoyed. Like he doesn't like being in it at all.
And that's the thing I was gonna say. So one lady at the stores, and thank you for that. She gave us great advice, and she said, "Look, these seats are rated 0 to 12 months, not according to how old the kid is, but actually how tall they are, right?
Yeah, that's
so
right.
you have a kid, and it probably won't be me with this, but you have a kid born 5.5 kilos. That's like a 6-month-old baby.
Yeah.
So you're only getting 3 months out of it, or 4 months out of it before they outgrow that 0 to 12 months. So she was like, look, you can use this for 12 months. You might use it for 6. You might use it for 8, you know? And she did bring up the whole thing of these are a lot heavier to carry. And she said, look, a lot of the time, she goes, by the time the baby's like, 3 months, 6 months old, you've gotten so good at getting them in and out of the car seat that it's not going to seem so practical anymore because you're just really good at getting them out of there anyway. So I was like, weighing up my options, I'm like, I'm going to pay $650 for this seat, have to upgrade in 12 months' time for a seat that goes from 1 to 8 years or whatever, and I'm going to have to pay that $600. And I was like, I just couldn't justify the practicality. I know it's the most sensitive times, you're learning to like hold a baby and stuff like that. I just couldn't justify buying a second car seat just for like 12 months worth, you know what I mean?
So me, on the other hand, all right. So I do have the car seat.
Yeah.
Okay. My one, I'll do some product placement now, thanks to our friends at Maxi Kazi. All right. So with our pram,
You're a decent brand.
what do we have? We have Upper Baby.
Yep.
Upper Baby, the Vista V2.
The Vista, yep.
And that one, you can have a car seat that automatically goes onto the pram. Okay. Now, I weighed the options like you, which was more along the lines of, it's a risk you take on the basis of, one, how big's the kid and the weight of the kid. If a kid comes out, fucking 25 kilos. I'm just giving an example here.
That is a big baby, man.
It's a big baby. But if it comes out like to a point where it's like, okay, it's 1 kilo off from what's the recommended thing like that, you're literally not gonna get much out of that. You're not. It's a waste of a purchase. So one, it is a risk. Two, I think it falls onto what Inan said as well, which is the practicality behind it.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to go from pram to car without interrupting the child.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't used it yet, but Just
It
by
makes sense,
Just
yeah.
by looking at it.
Yeah.
But one thing I did notice, and this is a big negative in my personal opinion. So with us, I went and got the car seat installed. You can, I don't know if you guys know, you can go to your local council.
Yep.
They do it for free.
Did it myself.
The place you buy it from does it for you for free
Yeah,
as well.
Do
exactly.
they? They're for free. I think they charge. They
Nah,
want
you
to
gotta-
charge
if
us.
you ask them enough, they give it free.
Please, man.
And some things end up in your mouth, but you just,
Which you can see on TikTok as well.
Cuz, but you know what's a good point? 80% of the time, it's the wives that are handling these kids.
yeah.
So,
gotta plan for
with
them.
due respect, like it really is their choice.
It depends on the parenthood, man. You've
Cause-
got that relationship where your wife is handling. I have friends
Traditional
who
relationship.
who the guy handles the kid more than the mum does. So.
Wuss.
But like it just depends on your personal thing. But one thing I was gonna say, a major con that made me go with the Maxi Cozy car seat is that the car seats that you get for $550 that go from 0 to 4, 0 to 8, they actually have more safety features than
Yeah,
the Maxi
that's
Cozy
true.
one does.
That is
So
true.
when I weighed all that, I was like, look, I'm going to get a way safer seat for a longer period of time. And mind you, they say 0 to 8, and the lady at the shop was very honest. She goes, look, these seats haven't been out for 8 years. We don't even know if they last that long. But the size is enough to carry the kid to 8 years. But at the same time, you don't know how that material is going to, what's it called? Like age. You don't know if it's going to tear. You don't know if it's going to last. But the biggest thing for me was I'm getting more years out of this seat, and the safety of it. Really.
No, I agree. Like it's more. It literally falls down to one personal preference, or what's going to happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And for us, I think the reason why I not fell into it, but more along the line, I went down that path, is it came down to the point where it's like, I found it cheap. So the car seat itself, I found cheap.
Yep.
That worked out well for me. And the one thing that I found, which was the weight, from a weight perspective, so that we got the Maxi Cozy City, and they said it's the lightest car seat in the world.
Okay, that's the 0 to 12 months, right?
0 to 12 months,
Yep.
yeah. And that the weight was 2.3 kilos. Like literally, I hold it on my pinky like that.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, okay, that's not too bad. But going back to what I was saying, the big negative that I found, so because this car seat, so your normal car seat is facing forward, yeah? It's just facing forward towards the thing. This one, it's reverse.
Yep.
And there needs to be some sort of like a strap going around the capsule connecting to the back.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
easy.
So the
Because
annoying...
with that, like too, you put the seat behind it, so the seat gives it an extra protection. Does that make sense?
No,
Because that strap doesn't really hold it down.
it's not the strap that's the problem. It's the unlinking part
To
of-
lift it off the...
to lift it off. It's a bitch, because to take the lock off it, or if the hatch off it,
Yeah.
it's not a clip. It's like one of those metallic clanes like that. So you literally got to go pull it in like that and take it off.
yeah.
So by doing this, what happens? The capsule's going to move.
Yeah.
You're moving the shit out of this capsule. So I think it's more, I got to learn from this to see if it's actually worth it to pass on whether, like, to give
To a
up
second kid or whatever.
I'll probably look again. I was saying to my wife as well. It's like, the hardest part is your first kid, in my opinion, because you're buying everything from scratch.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's true.
Do you know what I mean? Like your cot, your toy. You're either gonna do all your first mistakes where it's like, we didn't really need this, or we didn't need that. Do you know what I mean? You're buying all this shit for no reason potentially, and it's like, second kid comes along, oh, we didn't use this, we don't need to buy it.
Yeah, definitely. Look, and
Yeah,
I think a
that's how
lot
it
of
was.
parents are like, we overbought because we didn't know what we needed. But I think these people who market these products, bro, they do it on purpose. So you have two big brands, right? And you read reviews. I'm going to talk about the breast pump in particular here, right? So you've got like the Philips Avent or whatever it is, and then the other brand, I can't remember what it is.
Is it Aventi?
Avanti or whatever it is, yeah. So you read one of them, and it's like, it's really gentle on the nipples, and it holds firm and stuff like that. But then the other one's like, yeah, it's okay on the nipples, but you can breast pump in any position. You can lay down, whereas the other one has to stand up. Like, bro, why can't you merge all these and just make one product that does everything really, really good?
Because it will take over the market.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, you're constantly like, oh, do we go for soft on the nipples, or
'Cause
do you want to hang upside down while you're breast pumping?
I want to be a bat. I want to be a
Because
bat.
that should be the last resort, in my humble opinion. Obviously, you don't want to be mucking around with, what do you call it, breast pumps. Obviously, you want to focus on getting the kid to naturally latch.
But yeah, at the same time, I'm gonna cut you off. You're very lucky, bro, because a lot of people can't do it.
But cuz nah, not lucky. We worked hard for it, bro.
Yeah, but let me tell you, there's physical things that stop
like
it.
I was on my knees pumping the milk out with my fingers into a little syringe when it first came out.
I understand.
Like
but
like just that in description, like like bro, a lot of people don't realize. Cuz honestly, no. But no.
Go on, you know.
No, a lot of people don't realize the hard work you really need to go into. I mean, obviously, I'm sure we all understand the importance and how important and beneficial breast milk is to a child.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure there's certain factors that I can raise right now.
A lot of factors, yeah.
But a lot of people, I feel, tend to just get over it straight away. You know what I mean? Like, sure, there's this certain percentage where they realize it's too hard, you know, it's too strenuous. Fair enough. But I think, you know what, if you're not struggling and you're going through stress so that kid latches on, I don't think it's worth it, honestly, in my opinion. Of course, like Emma mentioned, we were very, very fortunate. But then again, my wife, she did go into a wonderful routine. She researched it. You know, she made, bro, like, all the little things, like, you know, applying heated pads for the vessels to open up and whatnot. Like, there was a lot of research and the science behind how the actual breast worked. You know what I mean? So, like, I do, you know, that was one of the things that I admired in terms of my wife personally. But I mean, in women in general, of course. But like, going back to that, I feel like that should be one of the biggest priorities when the kid is born, obviously.
Bro, me personally, I want my kid to be having breast milk if I have the opportunity.
Of course.
If my wife is able to produce.
Yeah, of course. Like,
But at the same time, the parents I've talked to who've like tried breastfeeding for 3 months and it just became stressful for their wife, stressful for the baby.
Yeah,
bro,
very stressful.
Get the breast pump out and do it. And you know what? Like, I'm not for the whole free the breast movement thing, bro. My missus is not fucking breastfeeding in public. Like, if you're gonna have to do it, pump it and feed it through a bottle. Yeah. I don't want you.
Because
like,
you got certain things, like you got to sterilize that thing, and then you got to make sure it's clean. And
but that's why we bought a sterilizer. Everything, the breast pump and a sterilizer for us, we got it for a really good price. I was saying to Fatih off air, we got everything. Yeah. And maybe we're gonna get through this and be like, man, we never used the breast pump and the bottles.
Hopefully,
but hopefully. But we bought it because it's like, bro, I don't want to be rushing to get it after the baby's born. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just like, more stress.
Because like, when I mean routine is because that kid, well, the child is going to be an individual and it's going to do things that it wants to do. Does that make sense? So like the 2 kids that I have now, they were both different. You know what I mean? But eventually it was through hard work and determination and routine. I think that those 3 are most important. I mean, like you said, it is strenuous. It's hard. Like, there's days where my wife is just like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know what I mean? I'm sick of this little human sucking on me. You know, like, but
get
like,
off me,
I can see,
human.
like, you know, she needs to do things like, you know. And I told her, look, I go, as long as the kids are fed and the kids are looked after, you don't have to do nothing else. I'll take care of all the cleaning for now. You know, different story when they grow up and they become For now, yeah, exactly. You know, you got to put that. You got to make sure.
As soon as they turn 4, bro, you put a broom in their hand. Fuck, you're cleaning, mate.
But I think in my opinion, and if I can recommend this to anyone or give advice, I think that that's the most important. I think it's beneficial for the kid's health. You know, it's gonna lead up. I feel like it's gonna lead to longer term health wise for the kid. I mean, I'm sure you guys have done your research and you understand what I'm saying, but I mean, it is hard. It is hard. I understand women, you know, like I'm pretty sure there's like 5 or 6 women or whoever the hell watches this and goes,
billions.
This guy, what is he talking about? As if he's got some breasts, you know what I mean? But I see my wife, you know what I mean? It is hard. There's days where I can see she's just like, she's on struggle street. She doesn't want to do nothing. She keeps her mouth shut. You know, thank God.
She better.
But if I can, it's I don't know. It is hard. It is hard. I'm not speaking from experience, but I mean, any advice to people having kids, I think that's the main priority. Other than that, obviously, you want anything else. But then every child is different, so who knows?
Bro, and that's the thing as well. I think Fatih and I, we had this mad bond session one day when we were at the pool. No homo. But
All home.
bro, as soon as
Oh,
as
yeah,
soon as you
go
get
on.
pregnant, it's like everyone wants to give you advice. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we did this. It's like,
Yeah,
shut
yeah,
the
'cause-
fuck up, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I want to work it out myself. And Fati came, he was like, bro, we're not listening to anyone. Like, we're just gonna do our own
Because
thing.
you
I'm
can't like
yeah,
this
I'm
kid's
gonna
gonna
do
be
that
different.
too.
You don't know what things this kid's gonna do. You know what I mean? So any advice you got to take away for a grain of salt and go, all right, I'll apply it if it's all right with the kid. Like if it works, that's what it is. You do everything until it works. If it doesn't, you try something else. You know what I mean?
For me, advice is more taken as ideas.
Exactly.
It's like,
yeah,
okay, like I think that one of the big advice or one of the big conversations that comes out is when it comes to the whole I keep hitting the mic. The social media aspect or the toy aspect and stuff.
Yeah.
I always get that from people.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you got 5G people who just annoy me. But
big problem.
it's just more along the lines of, okay, I hear what you're saying. We'll move on from there.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. I'll tackle that bridge when I get there.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't do this with the kid. Okay, I'll tackle that bridge when I get there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some people like what's that thing where people go, like how you have like our older generations where they go, don't walk around with the kid because it's just gonna get used to it. It's like, okay, I understand you, I get that, and I'll deal with that when I go.
It all
Bro, if
depends
your
on the kid.
baby is
That's right,
screaming
exactly.
for 2 hours straight and walking is the only way that you can, comfort them and make them feel better, bro, I'm walking for days.
I'm throwing it out the window.
Yeah, because I knew a family that had to drive their kid around until it fell asleep.
That was me. That
You
was
know what
me
I
as a
mean?
kid. I still don't sleep well. I started as a baby. I wouldn't sleep ever, and I still don't sleep. Like,
Now his wife drives him around.
yeah.
My kids
So every
both hate
night
the
we
car.
jump in the car. My wife drives me
Yeah,
around, and I still have that maxi cozy, bitches. 0 to 12 months. Fuck off.
What was that TV show? It was Helen Hunt. It's all
Pregnant teenagers.
Nah, it was like a 90s TV show, man. It was like a husband and wife show, man. I remember they had a kid, and then the kid only slept when the dad was speeding, and then the cop pulls him over, and then I think the cop follows him while he's speeding around and stuff like that. Like, if you got to do it, you got to do it. Who did the ad recently? Was it McDonald's?
Yes.
Yeah,
he
when they
gets the
keep
coffee.
driving for the drive.
What an idiot.
And he was asking for
Because
coffee.
it makes
or
me so
hash brown or
angry. Like,
something.
stop, let the kid cry. Bro, so many times where I just, like, in my mind, I get so frustrating, especially when they cry. You just don't want to hear them cry anymore. In the traffic, guy's taking his time. So then, just, like, in my mind, I'm going, it's all right, it's all good. It's like, hey, it's all good. Don't worry. 5 minutes still in traffic. Fucking shut the fuck up.
It's good that pole looks great at the moment,
Yeah. Oh my
going
God.
80. But the one thing that annoys me is I think the baby sector is very similar to the wedding sector.
Yeah,
Yeah.
overpriced.
Overpriced
Yep.
and so many pointless little things that it's just more of a marketing gimmick.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like that. It's like it's just like the
Like-
simplest of thing can cost you so much.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's what pisses me off. Like they'll come out and it's like, just the mirrors that you add for your car seats.
Yeah.
Oh, this one has a frog on it. It's $49.95. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you jump on eBay or Amazon, it's like a small circle mirror. It's like $2.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, it's such a gimmick, but people fall for it.
Because it's sentimental. Because it's your first kid or it's a child, you want to buy
You're
everything
like,
for
yeah,
it,
that's
you know?
right. You're like, I want to get the best.
Like,
of the
surely you
best.
guys thought of that. Like, when I first found out, it was like, all right, that's it. I'm getting the best stroller. I'm getting the best this. Until I realized what the prices were. And I was like, yeah, we'll change that.
We're going one less.
Yeah,
No,
like
it's-
he doesn't need a cot, bro. Just, what's wrong with sleeping on the floor?
Because he didn't use... We bought a cot and he didn't use it till maybe 9 months in.
Yeah.
He was sleeping in these little... What's the... Bassinet.
Bassinet, yeah.
And then he was sleeping with us in the bed.
I think they don't recommend sleeping in their cot until they're like 3 or
Yeah.
6 months
Oh.
anyway. Like they're supposed
Yeah,
to be close to mum in a...
Yeah, because we got the portable cot thingy, and then we got the normal cot.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just
Yeah,
more.
that's
It's just gonna take us
Yeah,
transition.
because like when
into
you're
it.
in the house cleaning and that, it's just right there, you know? Yeah, we
Yeah.
got that too.
And like little small things. We went and got the toy just recently.
Guys,
And
you know what's something worth spending on? Those little machines that
that's what we
go
did.
Yeah, we got
sideways.
one of
So we
those.
went,
right,
we went
they're
and
the
bought
best.
that.
Oh
But
my
then I
God.
went and looked at the research. Okay, then again, it all falls down to marketing gimmick. There's ones that's the size of a spaceship. Like
Yeah, bro, you need to buy a living room for it.
you gotta literally buy a living room for it. And I'm like, what? Like, what can this do besides moving it left and right and back and forth and vibrating, or like what can it do more for that price tag? Like,
So
is it going to transport the child with me as it's going around? the house?
After they turn 5, it turns into like the pirate ship, and like they go upside down. Yeah, I agree. And bro, you know what I noticed as well? We got the one that's sort of like it can do this,
Yeah.
like it moves in squares, and they got the 2 same fucking models, but there's $120 difference between them. I'm like, what's the difference? He's like, oh, this one's breathable, and this one's not breathable. So which one's better? The breathable. So why is it cheaper? I don't know.
The non-breathable, it doesn't turn into an alien later.
Yeah.
It doesn't eat your child, and that's what's going to come. Like they can't.
It doesn't make sense. Like if when I buy a shirt, I want something breathable, and they're like, yeah, but is yours a summer or a winter baby? Fucking, I don't know.
I haven't asked them.
No, but to be honest, that is a good consideration because finding the balance of trying to keep that kid warm is obviously important because the only communication it has is crying.
So more blankets.
But then if
Yeah, but then you don't want it to overheat. Like
Then
my
less
kid,
blankets.
like my second kid came in winter and we overwarmed him up or whatever you want to call it.
Overheated.
Yeah, to the point where he was developing rashes, and then we realized because we were wrapping him up, then we were putting him close to the heater.
and then putting a kettle on top.
So then, like, he was sweating, and I
hot
think he
shower.
was becoming a thing. Nah, we weren't showering him that often, but
But bro, see, like what that says to me is like, are you having a winter or a summer baby?
yeah,
Summer goes for what, 6 months, right? In Australia, we have 2 seasons. You have an autumn and you have a summer. If I'm buying it just for summer, that means I'm only getting 6 months
Yeah,
use
that's
out of
true
this
too.
thing. You know what I mean? Like
Nah,
you're just
but 'cause-
contradicting yourself.
the first 6 months is hard in the sense that, like, obviously it's just come out into the world. Its skin, its body is trying to get used to this world. Does that make sense? So I think it's not in the sense where it's like, if it's summer, that's it. We've got to adapt to just summer. I think for the first couple of months, that first season. So if it's born at the start of summer, you don't have to cover it so much. Does that make sense?
And it comes back to me saying the marketing of this, right? Like those cloths or blankets or whatever that's under those things, they're not interchangeable. So if you want to make a breathable one for summer and then another breathable for winter, why can't we change those cloths and just make one? It saves you making a whole nother model as well if we can just change the blankets
Yeah.
or the cloths that's in them.
We're revolutionizing the baby industry.
That's
guys.
weird.
You know what? You guys want to go into the baby industry?
The most
Yeah, let's go.
overclogged industry. One of the instead of maxi cosy, we can be ultra maxed cosmetics. Like it's
Ultra min cos.
There you
Done.
go.
Here we
Like
go.
there's some brands that it's a shame. It really is a shame that people just fall for it. Like in my personal opinion, okay, there's certain brands that just the name itself implements the price.
Yeah.
I think obviously
I thought
that's,
with everything.
that's everything.
Yeah.
But I feel like in an industry where it's the same.
Yeah.
Like it's wood put together.
I know what you're talking about.
You
You're
know what I
talking
mean?
about cots here
Cots.
and a B brand.
Or Bugaboo.
No, Bury.
Brewery's a bullshit ass brand anyway. And the irony is we have their changing table. So
We have everything Bury, but
That's what I
only
mean.
because we got it way cheaper because it was on sale than any other brand, and we're like, if we're gonna pay this much, we might as well have the best
that's
one.
right. Like there's people that will go like take out the sale. Like sometimes those costs can go what, $3,000, $4,000. And
Yeah,
stuff
for the
like
whole
that.
set with
for
the
whole
drawers and
set.
shit. Yeah,
And it's like, okay, what does this do besides its look? Okay, I get it. I will give the benefit of the doubt. They are sturdy. That like the wood from
Solid.
the wood
Thick,
is
solid.
sturdy, brother.
Yeah.
but at the same time, bro, it's not like you're gonna roll that down the stairs. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's right.
It almost like outdoes its purpose when it's that sturdy.
And to be honest, it's the name.
Yeah.
It's the name. Like when people come, it's brewery.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that name just it's like Bugatti.
Yeah.
The Lamborghini.
But look, they guarantee like 3 or 4 kids going through the system, and if it really does last, then it's worth paying the money if you're
100%.
planning to have those kids. But at the same time, like my wife's mindset was, she looked it up, and the first time we walked in, the first cot she showed me was like the deluxe Bury, blah blah. It was like close to $3,000, like you said, and I was like, yeah, babe, I'm all for buying the best cot we possibly can. But this one, I seem like is worse than that one because the cheaper ones they had for $1,500, at least the handrails went up and down. And I was like, look, getting it in and taking it out is going to be a lot easier. This one's just solid, and you sort of need a step ladder to get your kid out of it because the rails are so high. So I think placing that deluxe price tag especially on parents' mindsets, it's like, I want to have the best one.
Yeah.
That's why they're falling for it.
That's right.
And I think that's the problem. Like I said, it's this it's the sector. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we all have that reason when it's like, I want that because it's the best technically, and it's like, but is it? Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
for especially I think for first time parents such as like ourselves, we will never know. Do you know what I mean? Like we won't.
Until like 2 years into it.
That's right. And it's gonna be like, this does exactly the same thing. Either I fell for it, or you're gonna realize, lucky we did pay for it because it lasted us 5-10
Yep.
years, whatever it is.
Yep.
So it's a gamble. It really is a gamble, man.
Yeah. Look, in Bury's defense, something good that they do is that you can buy those extenders, so the cot turns into a single bed.
Yep.
So if a kid's sleeping in a single bed, I'm going to say 10 years old, right? Whatever it is. Maybe a little bit earlier.
25.
But they're guaranteeing that that's going to last that long. You know what I mean? So if they're selling those extenders and people are actually using them, then yeah, you're getting that wear out of it. But at the same time, besides how much wear you get out of it and how long it lasts, bro, it's only aesthetic. Like, the handrails of a cot doesn't make it any more comfortable.
No.
It's the mattress you're putting inside it. And a lot of the time, they're giving you that price without the mattress. And, like, you're like, oh, okay, so I got to pay, like, whatever, $300 for a mattress. Bro, I bought a mattress as well. Like, it's a queen bed, whatever it is, like, memory foam, $500. But a little baby one's worth, like, $350 or whatever it is you can pay up to. You know what I mean?
Because the industry is smart. The
Yeah.
industry is very smart. They're gonna go, yeah, that's you. That affects you, but this one's your baby. Do you really want?
Yeah.
Scoliosis.
Can you put a price on your baby?
That's right. Can you put $150 mattress for your child? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's the way the marketing scheme works.
Yeah.
And we go, but it's like, and the bad thing is for people, it's like, well, that's all I can afford. They make people feel bad.
Yeah.
Like they really do. It's like,
But
man,
we have Afterpay.
yeah, and then Afterpay now kicks in, and it's like, oh, we got Afterpay, but we also have Zip Pay. So if you go spend over $1,000, it's like, oh, $1,000, sweet. I'll buy the best mattress, and I'll get this, and I'll get that. And it's just like, man, it's sad. It really is sad.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's exactly the way we're positioning this conversation. We're gonna learn from these mistakes.
Yeah.
There's really nothing more that we can say or we can do. There's probably a lot of women out there that are gonna be like, no, these dickheads don't know.
Well, if you do think that, please comment. Tell us if you've used the Bury
No,
before.
what are they going to teach
or
me? I'm 2 kids under my belt, bro. Shut your mouths. Don't comment. Don't say nothing.
Some lady comes out and goes, I've had 18.
Shh.
I'm going to be like, yeah, well, you should have kept your legs closed.
They're cute for the first 6 months, and then they just become brats.
Tell us what you
I don't
really
know,
feel,
man.
Nah,
I don't know. I started enjoying my niece and my nephew as they got older. Like, just
Nah,
6
don't get
months,
me
they were
wrong.
just like a bag of potatoes. They didn't move much. They slept, ate, pooped. Whereas, like, I like the interaction that starts after 6 months.
I like when I want my 2-year-old. He's only 7 months, or he's going on to 8 months. I just want him to be that little ball, that cuteness, that thing to warm me up when I get home. When they become old and they start talking back and they want things like hamburgers and lollies and chips, that's when you don't want to know them, because now you have to go into this bloody conversation of like, look, I don't have hamburgers for you, but I've got the bean stew that your mother made with rice.
well, you know what we're going through? Do you remember when you were a kid and you really wanted McDonald's?
Yeah, bro.
And then your mum said no. There's
Yeah, bro.
beans at home.
Well, you guys had balls asking for it. I couldn't even ask for it.
Hey, I won my game. I feel like I deserve that McDonald's. Hey, I'll ask you guys a question. I don't know if Inan's actually a decider on this or not. So, with children...
Their careers, yes.
No, not their careers.
They
I'm
become
going
football
into,
players.
I'm going into sports now. All right. So,
Supporters.
would you give your child the choice to decide who
No.
they support in regardless of the sport?
I thought about that. I will. I actually spoke to a friend of mine, shout out to JJ, and I said, no, I'll give them the choice, because I don't want to be those kind of parents where it's like, no, I'll go for the Eels, so you got to go for the Eels. Whereas, make your own choice. But then again, imagine sitting at home and he goes for the Bulldogs and he's celebrating. Oh, it'll be hard not to hit him.
And that tombstone's going to be expensive.
For me, I said to my wife this, all right? So-
I know where you're going with this, and I'm complete with Fatih.
I said to my wife, okay, now again, mine, obviously my expertise, I would say, is football. So soccer for
Yep.
the Australian supporters.
Liverpool supporter.
No, the kid can support any team in the English Premier League. I don't give it. I do not give a shit. NRL could not care less. Okay.
Oh, wow.
If you want to go for Manly and St George, just watch the
Nah,
game
I've
somewhere
thought about
else.
that.
Just watch the game outside. Right? But it's more. I enjoy the rivalry.
You have to leave
But
the house.
no. But in no shape or form can this child like anyone besides Garceday.
Agreed.
Okay. If it's a Fenerli, the adoption service will inherit a child.
I'm gonna
Okay.
I'm gonna tell him to call the foster home.
And the good thing is some of our family friends have already bought Parramatta gear. I've already bought Garceday gear, so the kid
Yeah.
doesn't pretty much have a choice.
Because
here.
you know what?
But when it comes to the Premier League, I don't care. I really don't. If the kid wants to be an Arsenal supporter,
We'll have someone to laugh at.
well, I'll have a good giggle. Good joke. But it'll just be funny. But yeah, when it comes to the Turkish Super League, I'm sorry to all our Fenerli supporters, but I don't like yous, and my child will not like yous.
Yeah, Chala, fuck you.
Yeah, finally.
So, Emin, are you on the same boat here?
Definitely. Look, my dad's a Manly supporter. I was a Parramatta supporter. So for my dad's a big time Manly supporter.
Wow.
So my dad's a Manly supporter. I was a Parramatta
My
supporter.
respect.
Really?
Look, as a rival team, every Parramatta supporter hates Manly. I didn't have that because it was my dad's
Because I was
team.
arguing with a guy from Manly this morning.
It was Emin's dad.
No, it wasn't. What did he talk about? Oh, Trebojevic. And I was like, he was talking about loyalty to the club,
Yeah.
and I'm like, watch when you start declining in your performance. We're gonna see how loyal you are
Start
to that club.
declining. When are they performing? They
Yeah,
are
but exactly,
horrors.
bro. He hasn't even played that many games.
Oh, not Trebojevic. I'm talking about Manly as a club.
but
yeah.
But like with rugby league, I wouldn't care because I guess I had that rivalry with my dad. It actually made it more fun,
yeah,
Like,
I thought about that.
and
but
my
then-
family's so split because I have like Dragon supporters, Tiger supporters. So in rugby league, it doesn't really matter. Look,
Nah.
as long as he's not a Man City supporter in the EPL, I think I wouldn't be like too fast. I wouldn't want him to be
What
so
about Man United?
her to be plastic. Look, that's her choice. I wouldn't be so cut. You know what I mean? Obviously, I wouldn't want it. But when it comes to the Turkish Super League,
Guys, how do you
especially if it's Fener, I will be cut. Like we've bought bed sheets, Garceday bed sheets. You know, the first whatever she's gonna wear when she comes out of the hospital is a Metin.
Same.
It's a Metin Oktay thing, and I told my missus I'm gonna staple her hand there so I can get that photo. But like, if it's anything besides Garceday in the Super League, then I'm gonna be very, very annoyed.
All right, another question. What about if your kid joins a sport you don't like?
I'd have respect for that because, to be honest, there's not too many sports that I don't like, and like I have respect for all of them. If she wants to do football, she can do football. If she wants to play volleyball, netball, whatever it is. So I wouldn't care as long as sport is an option there. And I'm not going to be one of those parents that force them.
No,
It's-
straight dentist or
No, it's
or a lawyer.
It's more because of the benefits that sports has. Like, I wouldn't care if she's not really, really good at the sport that she's playing, but I like it for the social aspect. You know, her gross motor skills, you know, having friends outside of school. Because, look, man, I don't know about you guys, but I went to some pretty horrible schools. And there was sometimes that socially I didn't fit in. But on the soccer field, I was always mates with everyone. So the social aspect, the whole physical activity is where it's important for me.
No, we didn't enjoy you on the field, bro.
Because going back to the supporting, my kids have no choice. Their birth certificates are Parramatta Eagles birth certificates. So they
Yeah,
have
well, they grow up and they rip it up and they're like,
No.
Dad, I'm now a Dragon supporter.
nah. So NRL's different.
Can you, like, what about from this perspective? Imagine your kid, like, you're a Parramatta Eels supporter,
Yeah.
okay? One of your kids becomes a Bulldogs supporter, the other one becomes, like, a Melbourne Storm supporter.
No,
Like-
I've got the first one in the bag. I think I've just what is it called, the recognition of the Eels brand.
Yeah.
So now he's just like, he looks at me and goes, Eels? I'm like, yeah. So then that one's locked in.
I don't know,
One's a
man. The
different
second
story.
one looks like he's going to be a bit of a
yeah,
Storm
the
supporter.
second one. Yeah, don't say that, man.
All right.
You know, it'd be worse if he becomes a Raiders supporter.
Oh, that's even worse. Forgot about
there's
Raiders.
not-
That's how bad that is.
But it's funny, eh? Like how we try to not force this upon us, but we don't force it, but we have our opinions.
Yep.
I want my kids to be Eskişehir, but my missus made them Beşiktaş'ta.
Yuck.
Yeah, bro.
At least they're in the Super League. What was I gonna say?
Shots fired.
What was I gonna say?
And they've got a stadium they haven't burnt.
Didn't they
It's
build
actually a
new
really
one?
nice stadium too, by the way,
All right.
for a
So-
second division team.
How would you feel like from a actually no, this is another question actually. Do you think that you're more in a position to now you're probably a bit more easier because you actually did the field, so I'm probably maybe more direct to say Inan. Do you think that you'd be there easily for your child during the homework phase?
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah.
Like do you and
I've actually been thinking about this.
the question I want to ask is this, because you know sometimes you go on like news.com.au Sydney Morning Herald, they're like, would you pass this year 3 test? And you fucking jump me like,
Well,
what
yeah.
the fuck is this?
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I want to see if I'm still up to date as to what.
Colouring his hair red. What?
So
What
Joey
do you
had
mean?
3 apples, and then his mate had 4 apples. How many apples did they all have together? 8.
9.
It's like
Write
apples
down
on a...
9. But like, do you think that the pressure would be on you if you actually came to a point where it's like, say, let's not say kindergarten 1 and 2, okay? Let's say year 3 and year 4, where it's like you come to a point where it's like a question comes up. Do you think that you have it in you to go to your child and be like, dude, I don't know, man.
Hey, let's give Uncle Google a go.
That's what I was going to say. Okay, I got approached not too long ago by a kid who, I think it was in year 8 or something like that. And they were doing geometry, but geometry on like, oh man, on an X and Y axis, right? And it was using this language and it was like, do this, and then tell the coordinates of P, Q, R, right? I Googled it. The language that they used made it seem so much harder. All it wanted it to do was move the triangle like 3 spaces that way and then tell you what the points were. So I think with the help of Google, dude, we've all done like maths until year 10 at least, whether how much we focused on or whatever. But I think primary school, you guys should be fine. Like the hardest things they do is like long division.
Long division?
And like,
What's
actually,
that?
I
I
like
can't even do short division.
fractions. Fractions is what gets kids bad.
I love
like
fractions.
it kills them.
Mathematically, I was blessed, unfortunately. No, actually, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but I should say unfortunately, I didn't pay attention in class. That's where the bad thing was. But do you think, like, I'll ask you, like, again, this is a fatherhood special here. What would you do if your kid's failing in school? Like, how do you think that you would tackle that aspect?
I'll let Inan handle that first because I've got a really good answer to this.
You know, like how would you tackle the aspect? Like, say the kids. I'm not talking about year 3 or year 4 here. I'm talking, say the kids year 7, year 8.
I didn't think that far in.
What do you mean?
They live that long?
They thought they'd be married in year 6.
No, that's a good.
Like,
that's an
imagine the
excellent
kid, like, you know how sometimes, like, let's give an example here. Like, again, I don't know from the way you guys were raised or anything like that.
Shout to that.
For more, say you're in year 7 and year 8, certain parents tend to disconnect themselves with their children from what exam results they're actually getting. You know what I mean? The report card phase sort of dies away as they're into high school.
Yeah, that's right.
So, 1, would you be that type of parent that actually does that? Okay, and 2, if you're the type where it's like, okay, my kid's really struggling in year 7 and year 8, what route would you take? Would you take more why? And if it's more slacking off more this, would you go more punishment? Would you go more lessons? Would you hire a tutor? Would you go like what avenue would you take in this aspect?
A bit of, I guess I would already have, what do you call it? I have a plan for the new year, and I'd like to learn more about my religion in the sense where I'd like to tackle the Quran so I can teach it to my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and on that basis, I'd like to have already implemented a relationship where obviously he can come to me for help, and regardless of whether I have knowledge in that certain area or whatever we're looking at, we tackle it together. Does that make sense? So regardless of whether I don't know or I do know, why can't I refresh it? You know what I mean? Refresh my knowledge on whatever that subject may be or the topic. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, that's my idea. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. I don't know. But, I mean, I'm sure Emin has a better idea considering that he is a teacher. I mean, what do you think? I am the father, so naturally he will be coming to me or his mother. Maybe his mother would be a better choice because maybe I won't be as patient as she would. I could see myself like getting very frustrated and just snapping.
Like,
I mean,
I'll give you the benefit of that because it is something that obviously your kids are a lot younger and I'm asking for something
Like
that's
now,
more 10 years in advance.
I mean, obviously the kid's just starting to talk, the first kid, and it's easy. Oh, it's a challenge to make him understand because I'm trying to. I don't know if he realizes what I'm saying or he doesn't. He understands the words that I'm saying. Does that make sense? Like he's just starting to speak, so he knows all the general broad terms. Like he knows how to say, "Oh, look, I got to pee," or "I got to go poo," or "I'm hungry," or "I want some water." You know what I mean?
the need factor,
Yeah.
Yeah. So he knows how to describe, or he knows how to communicate what he wants. Whereas when it comes time to communicate broadly in the sense of like, "Oh, Dad, how do I do this?" You know, "Oh, do you do this by that?" and trying to explain to him, maybe I won't be so effective in explaining how certain things work. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Your son's way too young to be making those.
Yeah,
those
but I'm just
at,
saying.
At the moment, all he needs to be able to do is tell you what he needs to be comfortable and to be alive. So, you know, that's all you need. Look, my nephew is what, like 10, 11 now? 10?
Yeah.
And we're just getting to that stage where we're able to have deep, meaningful conversations. Yeah, like you would have noticed.
Okay, so
he wants to jump in and like give his opinion about things, or like
I ask him how was your day, or like what'd you get up to, and he just goes quiet.
yeah, but his day is just hanging at home most of the time, or like going to a shopping center.
No,
with mum, or
I'll
like,
ask him. Yeah, like when he's done things, when he goes out with friends or family, or he plays with other families' kids. I'll be like, "Oh, what did you do today?" Just to see where he goes, and he just goes quiet. I don't know whether he's shy to talk or whether.
Bro, at the same time, you got to understand that time is a very different thing for them, right? Like when you ask him what he did today, it might only be 3-4 hours, but that's like a lifetime ago for him. You know what I mean? Like to be able to recall 3 hours ago. You know, my nephew and my niece, they'll be like, "Oh, do you remember when we did this? We did it the day before." Like for them, it seems like it was such a long time ago. So the aspect of time is just way beyond them.
Yeah.
Like when you tell them, "Oh, you know, you can have an ice cream when Dad gets home. Dad's coming home in 3 hours," but that's a lifetime that they're waiting for that ice cream
they
to
fit
come
so
out.
much in between as well.
That's right. So them understanding time or what they did, like, what are you asking about? Are you asking about when I was sitting on the couch? Are you talking about when we went, you know, to the park with Mum? And maybe you can like make it more specific, like, "Oh, what did you do at the park?" You know, or like, "Oh, what did you watch on television today?" Like, when you say to them, "What did you do today?" Bro, that's like 12 years for them to think about. You know what I mean? Like, if I asked you, "How was your year?" But coming back to the whole education thing, I don't think there's a chance in the world that we're going to miss how our kid is doing on reports or academically and stuff. My wife's a teacher. She's going to be that teacher who calls the school every week and being like, "He did his homework. How was it?" You know what I mean? Like I can already see that she's going to be on top of that. But if I can give you advice from an educational point of view and whoever's listening, bro, not all kids are meant to be academic, right?
That's
not
true.
all kids are supposed to go to university.
Like
not every kid's supposed to be really good at, you know, like language or learning or like
me and the
writing
wife
or
actually was speaking
mathematics.
talking about that.
Your kid might be gifted in another area, whether it's like creative or if it's like sport.
YouTuber.
What matters, and this is a great thing to look at on report cards, is effort level, right? If your kid's effort is a 1, which is the lowest, it goes 1 to 5 in most schools. If your kid's effort is a 1 and they're getting a B, you know that they're not working at full potential, right? If you bump that effort to a 5, then you're going to be looking at A's or whatever, you know, like you're working beyond or whatever.
So, Kaz, what's something we can do to increase that effort level?
Well, that's what you got to be asking for. Like, if your kid's getting a 1, it's like, why aren't you putting effort? They're either being lazy, okay, or they're not. They're bored. So it's the system that's not doing them any favors, bro. Imagine a kid who's in year 7, right, and you're giving them like, I'm talking what the standards are saying. A kid who's meeting standards of, you know, the curriculum. If you're giving them 1 + 1, and Johnny has 1 apple and he got 1 apple, and how many apples? The kid's gonna be bored. He's not putting any effort into that. You know what I mean? But if your kid's getting a D or a C, right? C is your pass mark, satisfactory, but the effort's a 5.
Good enough.
Dude, that kid's putting in all he can. He's got nothing else to give.
Do better.
You know what I mean? Like how do you do better? So it depends on the strengths of the child. Not everyone's supposed to be academic, but I would be looking out for effort. And if that effort's low, maybe have a conversation and be like, "Why aren't you trying at school? Are you too distracted by the people who are in your social group, or are you just too lazy?" Like, I know kids who are smart, but they just can't be bothered putting in the effort, and then their marks are affected by this because he sits in an exam or an assessment task and he's bored the whole time or he's like distracted. Another thing is as well, boys, I want to ask you. Usually if like they're really struggling in school, there's probably some sort of factor behind it, right?
A girl.
Drugs.
No, I'm talking younger. I'm talking, 5 or 6, 7-year-olds, year 2, year 3.
Shooting up in the
The
toilet.
heroin abuse. But like, we come from ethnic backgrounds, okay? And especially in the area that we're in, my experience with parents has been that there's a lot of pride when it comes to their kids. So you approach them and be like, look, you might want to see a pediatrician. There's some factors that I'm a little bit worried about.
Stop feeding them sugar.
But then, no. It's not just about the sugar. I'm talking about cognitive development and other issues that might be involved. But some of these parents were so proud. They're like, there's nothing wrong with my kid.
Yeah.
I'm not taking him to a pediatrician. But that kid's suffering for the next 8 years in school. So do you see yourself, if someone came to you with advice, say their teacher, their preschool teacher can even pick up on it or whatever, their soccer coach, and be like, look, I'm starting to detect some social stuff going on here, academic. Do you see yourself being proud of it or like being too proud of it, I should say, or are you going to seek help with, professional help?
For me, the way I would see that, again, I haven't reached that stage yet, but the way I see it is it falls down to what we were talking about just when we're talking about the advice buying stuff for our kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the same level.
Mm-hmm.
I will take what you're saying
Mm-hmm.
and I'll monitor it.
Yeah.
It will. I don't think, like, if someone comes up to me and says such and such is about your kid, I'm gonna be like, okay, fair. Like, I get it. Thank you very much for that. I would monitor it myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, if the kid goes, oh, your kid's not social enough, I'm like, okay, that's your viewpoint. I wouldn't go up to and be like, oh, I have to take action straight away. I'd be like, okay, let me see what these guys are telling me, and let me see if I can see what they see.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? I would rather tackle like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be the type where it's like, nah, man, you're just delusional, you know what I mean? Like, or reject it straight away. It's like more along, I took what you heard. I've looked at it. I don't see an issue. Or they are right. I do see an issue. What can I do from then on? Or then I might speak to my wife and go, look, someone said this and this. I saw this as well. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's more of a common factor. I agree with you. I think more the older generation would more sweep it under the rug because it's more, I didn't go for it, therefore they're not going for it sort of attempt. Yeah. But I think for me, considering that the amount of broad issues that currently can happen in this day and age, whether like across the board, whether what they see, what they watch, who they speak to, etc., it can play multiple factors. So I think rather than brushing it away, it's something that I would rather look at that and go and make my own decision.
That's a good thing. Before I cut you off, Inan, you got to also consider the fact that home environment and school environment 100%. Are very different things. Yep. So, when a kid comes home, I see it from my nephew and my nieces, but there's no intellectual challenging happening at all. You know what I mean? Like, they're sitting in front of a television or they're playing games on the phone or they're running around outside. Whereas when they're put in a classroom, you suddenly got these blocks in front of you. You got to start counting and you're mentally challenged. That's when you start to see a lot of these issues. A lot of parents will be like, look, your kid, we think has ADHD. We can't diagnose it, but we're like, oh, he's just, he's really hyperactive, finds it hard to focus in class, can't sit in his seat. He's always like talking and blah, blah. It's like, my kid's not like that at home. Yet it's a very different environment. And a lot of the time, parents don't believe what teachers say. Look, in all honesty, no teacher's going to come out and be a dick about your kid. Like, they're just trying to look out for the best.
Wrong.
So
That was all my teachers.
what a kid is at home, bro, me, I was the biggest muck around at school. But when I came home, if I mucked around, my dad was fly kicking me. So there was no way I was fucking around at home. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, bro, my environment changed when my dad left for work. With my mum, I would fuck around. But when my dad came home,
bro. And my mum used to say that too. She's like, why don't you do this stuff around your dad?
Exactly.
Because I get my ass kicked.
Bro, and coming on long division, a short story of how I learned long division. So I got homework. I was at Shule. We were learning long division like year 2, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, he put it in front of me and he was like, all right, how many times does 3 go into 5? I'm thinking like, this shape of 3 doesn't go into 5. Like, you just don't understand what the hell's going on, right? And he's like, 3 goes into 5 once. Look, you got 5 fingers, 3 goes, you got 2 left over. You bring it down, you bring the next number down. I didn't get it. Bro, my dad explained it 3 times. On the 3rd time, Dad backhanded me. Bro, I hit my head. We used to have these couches with handles on them. Wood handle. I just went, poof. Bro, you know when you hit your head so hard you taste blood in your mouth? I think it's concussion. But He was like, he's like, come here. And I'm like crying. I can't see. There's tears in my eyes. The numbers are moving on the screen. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, do
Oh
this.
my god, bring back memories.
I'm like, 3 goes into 5
Just
once,
in tears.
2 left over, bring the 7 down, 3 goes into 27, 9, and 3 doesn't go into 0. So this is the answer. And he's like, good, it worked.
I remember I went for something similar as well. Again, same school irony. My dad, he was like, the question was, I still remember this question, but this is a 45-minute fucking answer. I think all the question was, in $1, how many 50-cent coins do you need to make $1.50? Man, I'm there overthinking the fuck out of this thing. I'm like, man, 50 and 150 is a big number. Like, it was so hard. Man, my dad, like, I think he came to the point where he was becoming... He became delusional to the point where he thought I was joking. Like, I was mucking around with it.
It's hard not to, but because you know how simple the question is, and you're like, how the fuck do you not understand this? Because I was copping this all my life. At home, it was my dad would walk in, get over it, send my mum in, and then my mum would get over it. Like, I don't know. I'm sure. You know what? I can proudly admit that I had a lot of challenge in school. I mean, maybe I don't know.
You weren't the best of students?
I mean, coming back to Emin's, he mentioned the effort level. Effort was there, but my understanding of certain things was maybe different, and it still is today. Whether, I can call it being inhibited or like, I don't know, not being able to understand certain processes. I mean, but now that I look back, I mean, I look at work and understanding new processes and going to new jobs. Like, I'm able to snap it up like that. But, I mean, back in school, I mean, I don't have a problem learning something now. But maybe just then, I had a difficulty in some aspects. It wasn't ADHD or anything, but, I mean, I wouldn't know how to explain it.
It's hard to think when all the blood's in your dick and not in your brain. But
Pretty much. No, I agree with you 100% on that. For me, I went from a Schiller College, which was a private school in Prestons, now called Amity College. And effort was my 100% thing that I used to do.
bro, Fatih was like the biggest nerd in maths.
That was a good
Hey,
day.
nerd.
Hey, nerd, man. But, and you know what the irony is? I'll come back to what I was just saying, but do you know how I got good in maths? My punishment at home was to write my timetables out. I got that much trouble at home. Dude, I ran out of paper at home.
That's
Like,
a good
straight
idea.
out. That was literally my punishment. That's why. And now as bad as it was, I can see the benefit now. Like when we're out stores or especially overseas and stuff, it's like currency. Okay, this and this, bang, like it just comes. And it all happened because I was a bad kid. Like that's the irony. That's the irony about it.
That's why drug dealers are good at counting money.
It's because they're bad. But when it came to high school, it falls down to what both of you said. One, the male anatomy kicks in. I go, 2, I get attention span. For me, I lost interest. Okay, I went from a 90s results kid in year 7 to not giving a shit by year 12. And I think that's where it falls down to me. Like when I think about it now, and like with my kid as well, hopefully, it's gonna be more. If this kid is excelling in a certain subject, I would rather this kid focus on that subject.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? If this kid's a genius in biology, example, but he's failing geography or failing not English, but mathematics.
You get him out of biography and you put him into geography and make sure he learns that shit.
Don't worry about geography. It's just mountains and rocks. But it's more along the lines of, if I would rather this kid excel in that. If it's wood tech, or if it's food tech, for something like that. If this kid's a genius in food tech, getting 100 out of 100, I would rather that kid focus on that and pursue something in that, because you can see that the kid actually either
Genuine interest in it.
Or the kid's good at it.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Has a better understanding.
And I think certain schools don't take that into consideration.
Yeah, because look, especially with private schools, they're looking for
That's
the
right.
scores. You know
That's
what
right.
I mean? Like they want an ATAR of 98, and woodwork's not going to get you there.
That's right.
So
And like for me, it falls down to that level. Like when I was in high school, you get to pick the amount of units and stuff like that. I didn't want to go for what's now called an ATAR. Because I had no interest in going to uni. nothing that I wanted to pursue wanted me to go to uni. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to. In my personal opinion, it's either like teacher, lawyer, doctor, and all those heavy duty jobs you go to uni for. But if you're not interested in those types of things, unless you desperately need a degree to enter your field, I find that needless.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, exactly, unnecessary.
How did your parents take that?
My mum didn't care.
Okay.
My mum was more along the lines of, would you want to go and be unhappy? Do you know what I mean? Do like if I said to you, you have to do this or you have to do that, and you genuinely don't enjoy it, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
You're going to have one of those children that's going to hate you for being unhappy because they're doing something they don't want to do.
Yeah.
And that's, in my opinion, that's what it falls down
Look,
to.
I'm a prime example of that. I chose Eunice, and you know what? Like, I look back at you guys doing like sports science. Man, I was so jealous. You guys got to play like OzTag every day.
Yeah.
And the one unit that the one subject I did that I did enjoy and maximum effort was drama. I actually loved doing it. I felt like it wasn't class. And then I look back, like guys who pursued music because they were into it. Dude, I did chemistry, biology, and physics. It was boring as fuck, but it was like, oh, this is going to get me into uni. You know, and that's the mindset I had. And by the time I got to year 12 and the end of the HSC, I was so overstudying. I was like, I don't want to go to uni. I don't want to do this. And my mum, God love her, was so upset with me. Like, she sat me down and she's like, she had my uni offer in her hand. And she was like, you're going to uni. I'm like, I don't want to go. I want to pursue a trade. And Dad was very supportive of me with what I did. He's like, look, you want to pursue a trade? Pursue a trade. He's like, just don't be a bum. Like, go do something, get some sort of qualification. Just go out and do what you want to do. But Mum wanted me to go to uni. She never got the opportunity to go to school. So it was like a big thing for her. I did uni for 5 years. I pursued a career. And I came back to what I wanted to do initially. I'm now an apprentice, you know, going after a trade. So, and look, uni was an experience. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It's definitely changed the way that I look at certain things in my life. But at the same time, I wasn't happy doing what I was doing. So what your mum said to you was like smack bang, like amazing.
Yeah, and to be fair, like my mum probably falls into the opposite direction of what your mum said, if that makes sense, but had the same outcome, which was mum didn't have the best education for her when she was young, or my mum didn't even finish school.
My mum went to year 4, like that was the max education she got.
Yeah, I think my mum got to like year 6 or something like that, and just prevailed into to motherhood. But it's more like the logical sort of sense now kicks in a way, and it's bad because a lot of parents don't actually see it. Like the amount of pressure you put on a kid from 1 to 12, and then add an extra 4, potentially 8, potentially 12 years, depending on what you're actually pursuing, and they're not enjoying it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we know certain ethnicities actually target that, and a lot of people make jokes about it. Like, say from a Asian perspective, it's like you could become a doctor or nothing, or an accountant or a lawyer or something. Do you know what I mean? And it's like the kids are like, I don't want to be it. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I want to pursue something else. Maybe I want to do something I love.
Pole
it's
dancing.
not going to pole dancing, or I want to be. I just want to.
I want to be the best pole dancer, Mom.
I want to be a
I
garbage
want to
man.
dig graves. You know what I mean? Like, it's like small stuff like that. But I think,
Probably a necrophiliac, but you know.
but it's just weird because the irony is nowadays you can cause so much sort of stress on the child, like so many different types of stresses on a child without you even realizing it. And that's something that you genuinely wouldn't need to avoid. Like for me, I'll give you the best example. Even when I went for my what do we call it, ATAR, I didn't care. I really genuinely could not give a shit. Do you know what I mean? Because again, I'm not getting a final result. But even in the subjects that I potentially wanted to go through, I didn't care because I knew, and this is where my attention span dropped. I knew I could do it, but I didn't. That's where my thing is, and I pursued that for a while. Only probably in the last 5 to 10 years that I got over it. Do you know what I mean? It's like more, okay, now I've got to get my shit together. I'm an adult. But when it came down to seeing people actually going through what they went through, I'm thankful I didn't.
Yeah.
Like I don't regret it. Probably I would have liked to maybe change one of my subjects. That's it. I enjoyed everything. Again, you and I did drama together. When we did, with our drama exam, you had the physical, the actual act of the play itself, and then you had the written part. Could not give two shits about the written part. I did not care, but I knew we did so well in the not in the physical actual play itself, because that's where our attention span went. Even though we had 1 hour sleep,
We had
before.
0 sleep and we were writing out our diaries the night before.
That was so many. Again, so many. Look at so many challenges that if it was another subject, we wouldn't have put that much effort into
Nah,
it.
no way.
No
and
chance.
and you know what? Like it comes back to what Inan said about persistence with parenting, right? Bro, the thing with the HSC is that it's such a long marathon. Like year 11, you're doing practice HSC
Yeah.
exams. You know, oh, this is what it's going to be like next year. Blah blah. Pump it in now. By the time you get to the end, you're so exhausted, you don't even give it. Like
Yeah.
that was for me anyway. I was
Just
like,
over it.
man, I'm so over this. Like I just want it to end. And I was unfortunate enough. What is HSC exams? They used to go for like 3 weeks, right? I did most of my exams in the first week, and then I had one exam on the very last day, and I had to wait 3 weeks to be free.
Yeah.
And like, it's not like I studied; I just procrastinated for 3 weeks. But it was just stressful, and I just couldn't wait till it was over.
Yeah, man, it's majorly stressful. Look, again, the results recently came out so I think last week or the week before, and there were so many students that got 99.95 and et cetera. James Riss still #1 school, I think, in the country. It's more along the lines of like, I would really like to see, and I hopefully like we can get like say an input from people who actually went down this path, which is, yeah, I got 100, or yeah, I got 99.95, whatever. But did you actually pursue what you wanted to pursue at the time of when you were aiming for your 100 or whatever mark that you were aiming for? You know what I mean? Like, I know certain people, certain girls obviously within our school as well, they said, I wanted to become this, they became that, and they achieved the mark for it. But I know a lot of people who achieved 99 plus and didn't end up in the field that they wanted to end up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think my question would rather be, are you happy now?
Yeah.
Are you happy you didn't pursue what you originally wanted to pursue? So I really would like to find... I know another friend as well, where she studied her ass off and she was trying to become a forensic something. I can't remember what it was. A forensic... Something to do with forensics. And the problem with that job was it's so limited how many spots are actually available, which is another massive factor. I did all this studying for something that's so small.
Yeah.
And then she ended up pursuing something else within the travel agency and stuff like that. But now she's working in the police force. But it's more like, does it come to a point, and maybe you might be able to answer this, studying all that and not achieving your job surely would lead to something, say, from a depression point of view.
Oh, definitely. Bro, I'm one of those people. I had lifelong goals to be a zoologist. Sat down with the careers advisor at the school and said like 3% of people get into the job when they've got the qualification. But the thing is, as well, how do you know what you want to do at 18 years old?
Yeah.
You're 17, 18 years old. Most people have never worked a job in their life. I had a Macca's job, but like Macca's isn't going to tell me, man, I want to be a kitchen hand for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's schools that do, you know, job, what is it? Job experience or whatever, work experience. I didn't have the opportunity to do that, unfortunately. But even working 2 weeks in the field, man, we had people come in for job experience to be teachers, and we used to have them around. Look, what they did is like hand out books and stuff. They didn't even see it. But after the week of work experience they did as a teacher, they're like, I don't want to do this. Like, we see what you guys go through. We don't want to do this. At 17 years old, do you really know what you want to do? I mean, I wanted to be a zoologist. I couldn't do that. So I was like, yeah, next thing I'll be a teacher. Then I realized, you know, like when I was almost 30 that I don't want to be doing this and I actually want to pursue this career. The other thing is as well, bro, how easily bored are we? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you work as this for 5 years and you're like, man, I need a change. I'm going to move over. Like Inan and I drove trucks when we were younger and we were at uni. Man, I loved it. It was such a good job. It was stress-free. I mean, stress of traffic. It was tiring, but I loved it. I left for 3 years when I was doing teaching, and on one of the holidays I went to do it again, and I realized I absolutely hated it. I was like, I hate driving now. So it's just what stage you're at in your life, you know, like what you want at the time. I don't think a career is completely concrete. Like you should be allowed to make a change when you want. You know what I mean? Like if you're working an office job, in your case, like you're working logistics, maybe you want to step away for a while and work in, you know, sales for a little bit. It's still an office job. It's a little bit different, but I think as humans, we need to be flexible in what we do because we become bored so easily.
Yeah, no, bored or complacent. It's
There's
one
that
or the
as
other.
well.
It's one
Yep.
or the other.
You're not
And
challenged anymore, and There's that as well. Like,
And for me, it was complacency is massive because it comes to the point where it's like complacency leads to errors, leads to problems, leads to stress, leads to boredom, it can lead to so many different things, and then it generally affects your work performance.
yeah.
And I 100% agree with you. Like at an age, I remember when we got called into the offices of the principals or the year advisors, whoever's, well, oh, you got your results such and such. Therefore, what do you want to pursue? It's like, okay, what do you say to a kid? I give you another question here. They bring up the results. This kid's getting 30s and 40s out of 100s in every subject. So what do you tell the kid then?
Stupid.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we realize on these marks that you're not going to do anything with your life. So do you really want to finish your school? Like what can you say to this kid?
Tell him to be a plumber.
Probably earn
Taking shots.
more money than half the people that
That's
graduate
true.
that year.
That's
Do you know what I
right.
mean? Like, the irony is, a lot of the people that actually left school and decided to pick up a trade are probably more successful than the people who decided to finish their years.
I was completely joking about plumbers, by the way. It's a great trade. There's so many people doing
Lie.
it that they
Shit
had to
shovelers.
make it 6 years for you to be licensed. So there's
Plumbers.
Yeah, bro, it's 6 years now.
What do you learn in 6 years?
So you do like
Pipes.
Take the pipe out, put a new one in, done.
I know, but then you gotta like
Put a bit of
sometimes put
PVA.
fire on it. But yeah, like you said, man, sometimes pursuing a career and you know, there's probably gonna be a time in our lives when our kids grow old enough that you realize, hey man, you're in year 10 now. Academics is not the way that you're going. Let's focus on what you want to do. What do you want to do? You know what I mean? Like, do you want to do a trade? Do you want to do, something IT related? Which is, you got to also look at like longevity of these careers, right? Because with technology, we're going to lose like so many jobs and new jobs are going to be created. So you want something that's going to last forever. When I was finishing school, everyone thought I was stupid. They're like, man, your dad's got a successful printing business. Why don't you take over? It's like, bro, printing's dead. Everything's digital now. Why would I go into a trade that's completely dead? There's no need for it. Like, imagine with all the stuff that Tesla's doing, with automated cars, with Uber and stuff like that. If a kid wanted to be a bus driver, maybe in 10 years, we're not even going to have bus drivers.
True.
And dude, I don't want to bag it out, but today on the radio, they had a epidemiologist. Did they just fucking make this job title? Like, because the COVID's been around, like, we're going to speak to a professional. She's an epidemiologist. Like, bro, how often do epidemics happen?
That's
Yeah, exactly.
What do you define as an epidemic?
Exactly.
I don't know.
30 years we've been alive and this is the first epidemic we're going through.
So it's like, I went to uni, I became an
SARS.
epidemiologist. It's like, yes, finally I can do my job. Like,
she pulls out her book and the dust comes off. Finally, I get to
Nah,
go into
but
work.
what is it? Epidemiologist.
epidemiologist.
This is when our high school parts kick in. How you know where our English
Just
levels are.
ask Uncle Google.
Epidemiologist.
That's got more than 4 letters. We're gonna call it epic.
We're gonna. It's
Alright,
Epic Games.
No, I've got
guys.
by definition.
Did someone fart, by the way?
Epidemiology is the study, scientific, systematic, and data-driven of the distribution and determinants of health-related states and events in specified populations, school, city, state, country, globe.
I'm struggling with the word the.
No, because there's so many brackets. I'm like, do I read this or?
It's because there's no job, so they're trying to include more things in it.
Okay, yeah, then let's
It's
just
a
read
doctor, but
What
you
does
know,
an epidemiologist do? Epidemiologists are public health professionals who investigate patterns and causes of disease and injury in humans. They seek to reduce the risk and occurrence of negative health outcomes through research, community education. and
Oh, shut
policy.
up. I'm bored
I know,
already.
you-
That's a
you-
boring job.
And you know what's funny? He put that voice on. You know when the government ads come up.
Governance.
Camera.
This ad is sponsored by
Authorized by Scott Morrison.
By the Labour government of Scott Morrison.
Yeah, Labour government, Liberal government, Scott Morrison.
Let's go into a comedy aspect, bro. Let's talk about something funny, man.
All right.
Being
What
so
about Inan?
serious over here.
What about Inan? He's a funny guy.
No, it's
Funny how?
what do you determine as? You know what's funny? Like,
Don't forget, last week I was going to do some comedy, but
Oh, you know
Oh,
what?
yeah. We're
What-
putting you on the spot
Have-
now.
no.
Are you ready for your stand?
I'm not, because I did an 84-hour week, And it was in the back of my mind. So every time I was on my break, I was like, "Fuck, I should start getting into this. Maybe brush up on my comedy.
Alright, so
watch some comedy
when-
next week.
when
Next
do
week. Next week. Next week. I promise. Next week. I'm on break now. Next week.
Next week.
Next week. I
You're doing
think
stand-up?
after the new year.
After the new year,
Yes.
you're doing stand up.
Yes. New year, new me.
Alright.
Let's talk about.
Do we hold on? I got a plan for this.
Okay.
Do we bring in people so there's an audience? Again, yeah, you're doing
No.
stand up.
Just keep it between us. If I can get a laugh out of you guys, I'm happy.
Okay.
All right.
That's the done. All right.
Let's go.
Emmy, are you doing it as well?
Can we get some like cricket sounds? Just ready,
It's
like
the owls.
No, I actually like today. I finished early and I tried. Yeah. All right. Let's go into. I actually googled short jokes, and I was gonna plagiarize, but I said nah, I'm not gonna go out like
So what about fences, eh?
they're cool.
that. No. I
Alright,
want to be very genuine with this, so I
Entertainer.
want to give this a good crack.
All right, go.
Next week, I promise.
Next week.
Yeah, next week.
Next week it's
All
on.
right.
Yeah.
So we're
The-
gonna see Inan
the
stand
Christmas rush is
tour.
gone, so
Next week, next peak.
next week, yes, God willing, we'll get that done.
Whew.
But actually, I want to talk about New Year's resolutions.
Okay.
And whether you guys have any plans for the new year.
Yeah, I do. I just plan to get there. I achieved it. That's it. If I get to January 1st, I'm like, I'm done.
No, like, is there anything you'd like to change about yourself or certain routines or habits?
I'm awesome. Now, look, I've never been the type of person to have
No, I'm
I'm
not
gonna, you
either.
know,
But look,
new me.
yeah, come on.
It lasts for 3 days.
Now
Like,
you're not the
January 3rd, it's all gone.
Nah, I had a very serious one. I think I was driving, and look, I'm not a big drinker of alcohol. Say out of a year, I probably drink maybe 5 to 6 times.
5 to 6. There's got to be a better way.
But I came to the conclusion. I was like, you know what? I think it's time to give it up completely. No
Okay,
more,
that's good.
No more. And that's
Good
what
for
I
you,
meant,
man.
like with the New Year resolution. I think next year, so I'm gonna have a massive drink up, guys. Anyone who wants to join me, no. But on a serious note, I think that's one thing. Any
Good
kind
for
of
you, man.
stimulants or whatnot,
That's
I
good.
want to get rid of it.
If I had one, it would probably begin somehow again my pursuit of streaming for gaming. I'd like to start that eventually,
yeah,
one
yeah,
way
yeah.
or another,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
somehow start that. I've been limited for my internet's sake, but I think I can find another way for this. But I think, yeah, or maybe to potentially, again, we don't know, but maybe pursue a new career. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
I think
I'm
my-
going down that avenue too.
My factor's a bit hard at the moment, considering with the upcoming child and all that type of stuff. But I've been listening, I've been actually coming across more videos of Gary V. So we know that inspirational talker who runs his mad company himself. Yeah, it's just little videos like that gives you a bit of a boost. So, but New Year's resolution, yeah, that type of stuff. I never really phased about it. I think I tried once, like 10 years ago. You know, when you got that pump, it's like, I'm going to become a gym addict. And then you go like the first 2 days and then you pay
And then
$58
you
for
realise
the
I
next
should have
9
just
years.
bought the steroids. All right, what are you guys looking for 2021?
No restrictions. I want to eat in restaurants, bro.
Yeah, it's a
I
bit
am eating
sad.
in restaurants.
Dude, you know what's
Not
funny?
anymore.
We're not even in winter, and yet we're already copping an outbreak. Like, what's going on there?
Bro, I don't think it's seasonal, man. I think it's just gonna be like the flu. It just comes around all the time.
It's, you know what's funny? You can't plan anything for 2021. That's the problem. Because
Yeah, you can't. That's so
it's
true.
like, oh, I want to become, just give an example here. Oh, I want to go to the gym more often. Okay, pandemic stuff's set up. Then what? Do you lose the motivation and go buy equipment from Kmart and do it in the park? Or it goes to apeshit crazy? Or it comes out and it's like, oh, what's closed now? The Northern Beaches? They
Yeah.
shut it from the bridge onwards. Okay,
Good.
it goes out towards our west. Do you know
Surprising.
what I mean? And then
Where's ours?
ours. Ours is next to Blacktown. No, but it's more like it just comes out to our side of town, and then what? Do you abandon your New Year's resolution? Do you know what I mean? Traveling is definitely 100% out of
Well,
the
it's
factor.
going to help me in my cause because if the pubs and clubs shut down, at least gives me excuse.
you,
At
Yeah.
least Liquorland's open.
Hey man, sales went through the roof. Like
Yeah, I think there was like $2 billion more alcohol consumption than
Yeah, they're
compared
worried
to
about
other
it.
years.
A fucking flu, but they're not worried about their livers, given up on
Well,
them because
you got to keep this in mind. Like again, I'm not a drinker, but if someone is stuck at home, what can they possibly do?
Wank.
And drink.
Wank and drink. Wank and drink.
It's like, and the irony is you can go on Menulog or Uber now and you can order from some of the alcohol places.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't even have to leave your house now.
Yeah.
So for me, like, going back to Inan's question, I don't necessarily have one. If I did have one, I'd probably try to pursue maybe gaming, become the next Shroud. But nah, nothing for me.
I tried these many years ago, especially when I was smoking. Like, New Year's Day, I'm going to stop smoking. So you smoke all day, and in the morning your throat's hurt, but you still light up after lunch. It never really worked for me. But I do have something I want to do this year. So I want to be a little bit more organized. I find that, especially because I'm juggling a lot, especially with the kid coming now as well, I find myself juggling like TAFE and work and then home life and then gaming life. And like, I find that, sometimes I double plan over my missus. Like, we'll be like, Saturday, we're going to go dinner with these people. And then I'll make plans with someone else.
Yep.
And it's just a lack of organization on my end. And I find that because of that, I actually stress a lot more. So I'll plan, be like, when I'm out with you boys, for example, you guys are like, oh, you guys want to go for coffee Friday, blah, blah, or like Wednesday. And I'll be like, yeah, at the time. And then I realize I've got an exam on Friday. And like, I have to cram 12 hours of studying into one night. So having better organization, I think is going to help me out next year. And that's what I plan to do. So it's not a massive thing. It's more me maybe writing things down, planning it out better, and being more organized.
Use your phone. So for me, I use the...
That's a horrible option for me.
Why is that?
Because I don't use my phone at all.
But see, that's what I'm trying to say. If you
need to.
If you start using what's available, the tools that are available to you, it'll make your life 10 times easier. I never used to be calendar oriented. Yeah. I hated it. It was always, oh yeah, that's what I'm doing Thursday. That's what I'm doing Friday. And then I realized I'm fucked because it's like I had the same problems you guys were. It's like, I forgot certain things was on, or I double booked myself 100 times. Yeah. Ever since I started using the calendar on my Samsung. We're advertising for
Samsung sponsor us, please.
Samsung, please.
Give us new phones.
Please, Samsung.
Ever since they gave
Note 10.
Samsung.
Note 20, please.
It's the calendar part of it. I've made that into a widget, which is one of my screens that I flip to. Yeah. And it changed my life, like dead set.
It honestly wouldn't work for me. I'll tell you why. Because 80% of my life, my phone doesn't have a battery.
So what do you plan on doing then? How do you plan on being more organized?
That's writing stuff down. Writing works for me.
But you know what's going to be funny? You're going to come to a point where it's like, oh, I lost my pen. I'm telling you now. You're going to come to a point where
there's no paper.
Where's my book? Notepad.
Where's... I understand that, but the phone would not work for me at all.
Your phone.
Can I buy you a dictaphone?
Because
buy milk.
me running out of battery is like losing my phone. It's like I would lose my pen before. My battery would die before I lose my pen.
But see, because
you just need to get into a routine of charging your phone more often.
That's right. There's your second resolution.
Like as I get home, first thing I do, put my phone on charge, even though it's been on charge all day.
Yeah, and then it'll sit on charge, and I wouldn't touch it until the next morning.
Do you have a charge? Do you have a charger in your car?
Yeah.
Do you have a charger? So how do you run out of battery?
Because we're using the phone for music and shit all day.
There's your problem.
There is your problem. Yes.
What you can do, if you do plan to buy a new phone, use the phone that you currently have
for music.
Or whatever you want to do with it, as in from a media aspect. You can probably just leave that in your car, and your phone's a normal phone. But yeah, definitely, man. Like that calendar aspect changed my life.
Yeah, I'm starting to actually use it now. But now that you've mentioned this, I'll be definitely using it.
I've never
I just put down next week's date for us to record on the 2nd.
And I'm only using the calendar that comes with the phone.
Yeah,
I've heard there's gun apps and stuff like that come up with better calendars, better notifications, and all that sync to your emails, that sync to Facebook, like it syncs to everything. It's like that's mad. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think that from that perspective, it's really good. The one bad thing that I've done, and I don't know till this day how to do it. My Outlook is connected to my old email address from like when I was 12, 13. So everyone that I knew back then's birthday keeps popping up.
Oh my God. I met a girl and her birthday keeps coming up. Like, I'm like, bro, I don't know.
She was born multiple times.
No. Like it keeps giving me a reminder. It's like, oh, this girl's birthday is on this day, and I'm like,
Well, maybe you
wow,
should take
bro.
the hint, bro. Fucking buy her a
But
present.
it's not like I put a birthday down in particular. It was my Hotmail.
The
got-
Hotmail's a link.
It got linked. Yeah. How the fuck does that
It's because
work?
of your MSN. So what happens is when you had MSN, your contacts have all connected now, and there's people that come up on my Outlook now, and it's like, I know who you are.
Yeah, it's like just 26069.
No,
Like,
no.
who is that?
Their names come up because it's the name of
Okay.
the Hotmail that they use.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I know you, but I haven't spoken to you in 15 years. Like, and Hotmail is just annoying now. I reckon Hotmail has gone horrible. Like
Yeah.
Gmail.
Messenger was the best.
Messenger was the best.
Messenger was the best. Getting those notifications someone was online.
You know what the mad thing was back in the days? High school, obviously. Running MSN Messenger and Bebo at the same time. Bebo was the shit because it destroyed friendships on who you gave your heart to. That love heart was like the pinnacle of your friendship, and because you were entitled to one a day, that person that you gave it to, that's it, man. That made a dead friend. Or you know when you were in the friendships, the box that you had 12 friends or something like that. Where am I on that fucking?
Yeah, I remember
I
that.
remember people used to care so much. Why am I third?
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me of. Did you guys ever watch Seinfeld? In one of the
Yes, I
Seinfeld
love the
episodes, Jerry meets this girl, okay, and she runs her life based on how high people are on her speed dial.
Oh, yeah.
And then
I
Jerry
remember
starts
this episode,
competing,
yeah.
and he's like, "I'm now 8," and then he looks at 7 and 6, and like he does good stuff, and then he goes back to the girl's house, and he's like, "I'm number 2," like, and then he drops one. Like, why did I drop one stuff? That was Bebo.
Pretty
It
much.
genuinely was that.
I completely forgot about that whole. I don't remember what it was, like your friend wall or
right,
whatever it
yeah.
was. But you know, when Bebo phased out and it died, and they were closing the website, you could go to Bebo.com and there was like a video that the creators of Bebo made. So what they talked about was the most iconic thing about Bebo. Do you remember how there's a whiteboard and you can draw?
Yeah.
Was how many penises they had. So the actual creators of the website actually made like a timeline of all the penises that were drawn on thing, and it's just like it's just a blink, and you just see, dude, some people put in a lot of effort on these penises, bro. They were really good penises.
You know what? But like, even the irony is, the older you got, that's what you did. Like, do you remember when you first got a computer? You open Paint and it's just triangle, and you just keep putting colors.
Nah,
in
it
there.
was circles.
Yeah, all circles.
Circles.
Yeah,
And
do
that
that,
turned
and
into penises.
yeah, and then it's like as you got older, you're like, I can really draw whenever I want here. Ball sack. And then it's like, oh, color this, color that.
Mushroom knob.
But like, it's so funny how we always try to test the limit of capabilities when it comes to drawing dicks.
Bro, I still do it. We play Apex. I put 8 equals D. Like the start of every game.
I remember there was a video that I was watching as well. It was about they were talking about Edward Snowden and what he did and stuff like that. And they were talking to the people on the streets. Like, do you care what Edward Snowden did? Blah blah blah. And he's like, look, if he did it against the company, you know, against the country, you know, maybe he's a traitor. Blah 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 blah. And then they go, okay, what would it come to for you to care about what data the government's stealing? They're like, they didn't really care. And then the guy goes to them, would you care if the government was
Got your dick pics?
was looking at your dick pics? And he goes, and then the guy, like, everyone's face changed because they were sending dick pics.
Everyone's
Yeah,
guilty.
they're like,
yeah.
they're like, I wouldn't want the government looking at my dick pics, and you know they really shouldn't be looking at my dick. Like, they got super defensive there.
Yeah.
And that's what's just so funny. Like, the moment something comes out, we always go back to an anatomy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, Snapchat, dick.
Bro, the high school I went to, I don't think there was a chair that didn't have a dick on it.
Oh, I remember.
You were
those
just
days.
always sitting on a dick.
Like the drawing, or
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's sometimes.
but now we're just old.
We're
Yeah,
not
bro.
old.
We are old.
We're old, man.
I don't feel old. I feel good. I reckon I could punch on with all those young cunts.
Oh yeah, he takes
Yeah.
Khabib on.
But
But you know what's funny? You'll be resting. For
nah,
a
you know
while.
what it is really. Like I can start to feel my body starting to break down. Like there's aches and pains that that I feel like, oh, it's gonna go away. No, it's not going
I
away.
feel like the moment you hit 30, it's like you start to hear that, you know, when you get up from the seat and your back starts to crack. And your arm
Mind
starts
you,
to crack.
guys, Fatih has been 30 for about 4 weeks.
I've been 35. Literally less than that. Dude, no, my body's breaking apart since I was 25.
No,
man.
you know what I think it is? I don't think like it's not old. I don't think it's fair to say old when I have my dad who does more physical activity than we do. I think at 30 you start to like first realize that your body doesn't heal overnight. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're 18 years old, you get corked while playing soccer, but the next day the cork's gone.
On to the
You know what
next
I mean?
one.
Like it's nothing. Whereas now when you get corked, like the second day you're starting to feel it and you're like, oh, it still hurts. Like what's going on? I'm getting old.
Yeah.
We're not getting old. We're just like slowing down in how fast we used to do things. Whereas like, you know, I can probably still do it where you stay up all night then go to work. We used to do it as 18-year-olds all the time. But now it's like, I went to bed at 11 last night. I need 2 days to recover.
Bro, yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you
I'm
know what I
going to
mean?
sleep at 8 o'clock tonight, man. As soon as I get home.
I
Yeah,
know,
that's- I know what
I
you mean.
agree with you, man. And then, like, when you don't get enough sleep and you're just like,
Yeah. Man, they were like, we were going on benders, and then I was going straight to work, and then I'd come home, and I still wouldn't sleep till like 11, 12.
Yeah.
And it was like normal, you know.
you
Now
were out,
it's like, bro, I'm paranoid. It's like, oh, that's it. I'm gonna crash the truck. You know, I'm not gonna have enough sleep. I'm not gonna be able to get up in the morning. Nah, it's just, I don't know, man. Like, sure, it's not yet. Like, surely we'll feel it in maybe another 5, 10 years.
no, I already start feeling it.
Nah,
But like,
I'm still good to
when
go.
we were young as well, you knew you had work at 5 a.m. It's 3 a.m. You still got a fishing rod in the water. There's like no worry. It's like, oh, as long as I make it to work on time, I'm fine,
If
right?
I can sneak in a nap, I'm
yeah,
good,
or like
you know?
sneaking it. Now it's like 10 o'clock. I have work at 5 in the morning. I start stressing at 10. I'm like, oh man, we got to start making get home because I'm gonna have to get home. I still have to have a shower. Like it's gonna be 11:30 by the time I get in bed. Like you start to worry about that stuff. Look, we had quite dangerous jobs. Driving trucks tired and like sleepy is not a thing. And you know what? No matter how much energy drinks you have or coffee, it doesn't substitute sleep, man. You just feel groggy and yuck all day. But as an 18-year-old, you can get through it.
Yeah.
But as a 30-year-old, it only sort of gets me so far. And then I'll get to like 1 o'clock. I'm like, oh, that Red Bull's like dying out now. I need to have another one and pick me up.
Yeah, man. I think my primary source was V, who substituted my blood.
Yep.
Back when I used to work back in the days.
It's
man.
like, yeah, I had only 2 hours sleep last night, so 2 Vs is equivalent for the other 6 I need to make up.
Pretty much. And then you start pissing out V. Like, literally no water. Your fucking urine's brown.
Don't waste it, bro. Just go a second time around.
Oh, it's funny, man. All right, boys.
It's a wrap.
Let's wrap. See? Old age. We're just speaking on microphones and we're getting tired.
Yep. Well, it is getting quite late, you know. Like, what is the time, you know?
It's like 8 p.m.
Fuck, it's
Okay.
11:46.
That is really fucking late.
All right, boys. Been good catching up with you. See you on the
See
flip
you
side.
guys.
Yep. See yous. Check out our TikToks, man. We
Yeah, we
cool
got some
TikToks
hectic
coming
shit
out.
Yeah,
coming
there's-
straight
so
out.
if
We
you
actually
go-
spent the day.
If you go down to the links down somewhere in the descriptions, it's got our Facebook, IG, and TikTok.
And this is a special shout out. If you've gotten this far in the video, thank you very much. Leave a comment below and I'll suck your dick.